What's going on, YouTube? So right before we get started, I need to put out 3 disclaimers in this video. Number 1, Sirui, they did send out this tripod to me for evaluation. This is the 224. Also, the second disclaimer is the 324 is what I bought with my own money this past summer. And so I thought it would be a great idea to show you guys the difference between the 324 and the 224 since they're close in price. And also visually online, they look more or less very similar unless you put them right next to each other, which we'll see in this video. And also the very last disclaimer, this is my first tripod video review ever. So leave your comments down below. Let me know how I did, or let me know what you guys want to see in the future. So with all that said, let's take a look at the price. So the Sirui 324 and the Sirui 224, these are both carbon fiber tripods, and the 324 will run you roughly around 240 USD, whereas the 224 will run you roughly around 200 USD. Now in terms of height, the 324 is roughly around 60 inches, whereas the 224 is roughly around 51 inches. However, when you extend the center column, which the 224 has and the 324 don't, you'll notice that according to my ruler right here, it looks like it's 61 inches in height with the center column extended on a 224 versus the 60 inches on the 324. So that is something for you guys to definitely take note. Now, the 324 can hold up to roughly around 39 pounds, whereas the 224 can hold up to roughly around 11 pounds. And also when you buy a Sirui tripod, it comes in a nice cardboard box. Within the cardboard box, you get a nicely plastic wrapped tripod case. And within the tripod case, you get your tripod and a Allen wrench. And that is the typical Sirui accessory that you usually get when you buy a Sirui tripod. Now let's take a look at the weight of the tripod. The Sirui 324 VA5X is roughly around 560 grams. This is the fluid video head. Also, the L-224 KV5 is roughly around 320 grams. Now, as for the tripod, the 324 weighs about 1,750 grams, whereas the 224 weighs about 1,110 grams. Now, as for some special features, both tripods, you can remove the rubber feet if you guys want to replace them. Also, for the 324, you can replace the rubber feet with metal spikes. Now, when it comes to the width of the tripod legs, the 324 is about 32 millimeters in width, whereas the 224 is roughly around 25 millimeters. Now, as for the length of the tripod when it's collapsed down, the 324 is roughly around 21.72 inches, whereas the 224 is roughly around 18.2 inches. And for those that are measuring the side of their bags, the 324 is roughly around 3.06 inches across, whereas the 224 is roughly around 2.82 inches across. And both tripods features 3 different levels of degree and bend. However, the mechanism is quite different. So let me show you guys real quick. Here is the 224. You put your finger right here, you extend the leg, right? And then, right? However, you always have to press down the blue lever right there. So there you go. For the 324, it's slightly different. You could just pull it out like this, as so. And there you go. You don't have to press down the lever down for the whole time. You could just pull it out and whatever you like, push it down. And there you go, right? And since I have you guys here on the arrow, let me show you guys a quick feature on the 224, and that is the flip lock design. As you can see, the locks are all closed, right? You could actually open each one of these up real quick with your thumb. So that's why they're just right next to each other, and there you go. Now, for the 324, you don't have that. You really need to pull it as hard as you can because they're very heavy duty. So just keep that in mind. Now, another feature that the 224 has over the 324 that was mentioned earlier in the video is a center column. You could extend the height of your tripod. If you want, you could reverse it upside down. If you like, you could remove the center column and you could get more below to the ground. However, I noticed that the 324, you could get even lower to the ground over the 224. So that is something for you guys to definitely take note. And also, before I forget, both models have hooks in the middle of the unit. Now let's take a look at the difference between the fluid video heads. As you can see, the 324 VA5X is roughly around 9.96 inches in length on the handle, whereas the 224 KV5 is about 7.86 inch in length on the handle. Now when it comes to the length of the plate, the VA5X is 2.76 inch and the KV5 is 2.06 inch. And here is the physical side-by-side comparison for both plates, and as you can clearly see, the KV5 features an Allen wrench built inside the plate. Now let me go off script right quick. Now when I received my 224, I realized that the bow movement was quite smooth, and so to make it more tighter and more stiff, all you have to do is take out the Allen wrench from the plate, go to the flip lock design area right here, and basically clockwise tighten it up, and then it'll be really tight. If you want to be more loose, just counterclockwise, and that's it. So it's pretty cool. Now to attach the plate onto the fluid head for the 224, it's a screwing mechanism, clockwise to screw it down and counterclockwise to loosen it up. Make sure you screw it down really tight because there is some play to it if you don't do so. However, towards the end of the last few screws, you could definitely have slight security, but don't take any chances. Make sure you lock it down clockwise, like this. You see? So you gotta make sure you lock it down clockwise. And for the 324 VA5X, there is a flap that you need to first push down in order to insert the plate. And once it's inserted in, the plate can go back and forth. And it's semi-locked in, but if you want to be fully locked in, you need to push down the lever. So there we have it. There is two locking mechanisms on the VA5X over the KV5. And both fluid heads, they feature a leveler. As you can see, the VA5X has two, whereas the KV5 only has one. Now, another additional thing that I want to bring up that both tripods share is that they both have one 1/4 threaded hole and 1 3/8 threaded hole, which will allow you to attach additional accessories onto your tripod. For this example, this is a clamp that I bought straight from Sirui. I bought this myself. They did not send me this unit right here, and it works perfectly on their tripod. And as you can see, I can easily screw the clamp onto the tripod and also use the clamp to clamp on the tripod. And let me show you guys a quick example of what Sirui has on their website. And as you can see, they're displaying you could put on iPhone and also a mic on the left if you want, or you could replace the mic with a beer can or whatever you like. Anything is imaginable with this tripod with this additional feature right here. I usually put my monitor on this tripod with a clamp. So that's something that I do. But it's really up to you guys on what you guys have in mind. So there we go. In both fluid heads, you could remove the handle. However, the 324 VA5X, you can remove the handle from the right and attach it to the left. Whereas the 224 KV5, you cannot do that. So something for you guys to definitely take note of. In both fluid heads, they feature a panning adjustment knob, which will allow you to adjust your panning. However, I do notice that the 224 KV5, when you are panning your fluid head, sometimes you could bump into the leveler, which, by the way, Sirui thought about it. There's a feature where you could actually pull out the knob and screw it to a different direction and continue screwing down your panning adjustment. So there we go. Very cool right there. Now for the 324 VA5X, you don't have that feature at all. So something for you guys to definitely take note. And as mentioned before, the 224 features a bow mechanism, which allows you to quickly level out your scene with the fluid head. And in order to do this, there's a bow adjustment mode, which features the flip lock design, and you just flip the lock open, you rotate the bow, and then you pop it back in to lock it in. And that's how you quickly level out your scene. It's very quick, very easy. And as for the 324, there is no bow adjustment mode. There's no flip lock design. In order to level out your scene, you need to work with the tilting and the panning knob. So there we have it. And last but not least, both fluid heads, they feature a tilting twist lock, which will allow you to lock down the position of your tilt by twisting this knob on the side that both models have. So there you go. So just wrap things up, the Sirui 324 with the VA5X fluid head versus the Sirui 224 with the KV5 fluid head. At the end of the day, these are two different tripods for two different people, even though this is like a $40 difference, but these tripods are meant to do two different things. For the 324 VA5X fluid head, I bought this tripod for my cine rig, for my C80. Yeah, for my 18 and 35 DSLR lens. And also with the 150 to 600. That's a heavy rig right there. And by the way, the weight capacity for this is 39 pounds. So keep that in mind when you're buying your next tripod. With the 224 right here, the weight capacity is about 11 pounds. And when I tried to put the C80 on this puppy right here, yeah, it was too heavy. So make sure you know what you are getting yourself into, because you need to see what you have at the end of the day. Do you have a GoPro, Insta360, mirrorless camera that has one small lens and maybe a mic? That's perfectly awesome. Actually, let me show you what Sirui has on their website. That guy right there, he has a whole small rig. So that can be attached to the 224. And if that's what you're working with, then 224 might be your best bet. However, for the 324, if you're doing super telephoto stuff, you're doing cine stuff like I am, this is actually perfect. So with that in mind, please make sure you guys, take your time and think about what you guys want to buy now, or maybe what you guys are planning to do in the future, because this to me is a future investment, because essentially I'm going to be putting more stuff on this tripod down the road, and 39 pounds of weight capacity, this could definitely hold it. Whereas if I bought something like this, I could see myself outgrowing it if I plan to do something even more bigger down the road. But this is actually really perfect for those people that are on the run, on the go. You need something small, compact, that's feature rich, by the way. I mean, you got your Allen wrench in your plate, you got your center column, you got the flip lock design that can be easily unlocked with your thumb. Also, the bowl adjustment is a well-noted feature, because I mean, you could just easily level out your scene and lock it down. That's pretty awesome. But just make sure that your camera does not go over, or your setup does not go over 11 pounds. So with that said, thank you guys for checking me back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely click like and subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Take it easy. Peace.